Jason Aldean, king of country, or a rootin' tootin' PR nightmare? Or somehow both? After the last few years, it's all starting to become a little bit clearer. In September 2012, Jason Aldean appeared on the cover of People magazine. In his interview with the publication, he presented himself as a devoted husband to wife Jessica Ussery, as well as a doting dad who loved family dinners and tickle fights with his 2 daughters.
I'm actually off stage. I'm pretty laid back, and I think people would be surprised at the difference.
Barely 2 months later, however, the singer was photographed kissing Brittany Kerr at a Hollywood bar, which caused such a huge uproar with country music fans that Kerr was forced to briefly delete her Twitter account. In an interview with CMT Insider, Aldean took ownership of his actions, but he also tried to spin a narrative that suggested things were working out with Ussery. He said, "The main thing is that me and my family are okay, and everything's good there. So for everybody that stood by us, I appreciate it." However, Aldean filed for divorce just a few months later, and fans soon learned that he'd allegedly been dating Kerr the whole time. The two eventually got married in 2015 and, in 2017, announced that they were expecting a baby. The couple's son Memphis arrived that December. Their second child, Navy Rose Williams, was born in 2019. Jason Aldean only made things worse for himself when he spoke to the Washington Post not long after the scandal with Brittany Kerr first broke. He said, "I feel like a lot of times female singers, to me, when they're singing, a lot of times it just seems like I can't distinguish one from the other sometimes if I just listen to them, you know? A lot of times they just sound really similar to me." What's ironic about Aldean's insult is that if you ask some fans and music critics, this is a problem suffered by the entire genre of country music. More specifically, Aldean belongs to a subgenre known as bro country that many feel is perhaps the worst offender in this sense, mostly due to a practice of using the same writers who all employ similar lyrics and themes, much to the dismay of genuine country music legends. If you're not familiar with bro country, here's what Vulture's Jody Rosen said when she coined the phrase: "Music by and of the tatted, gym-toned, party-hardy young American white dude." And many country artists aren't particularly happy to see this new pop rock-infused trend stomp all over country's more traditional roots, while the stars involved make the industry look bad in the process. In an interview with the Baltimore Sun, Alan Jackson said, "What makes me sad today is that I think the real country, real rootsy traditional stuff may be gone. I don't know if it'll ever be back on mainstream radio. You can't get it played anymore." Meanwhile, Kenny Chesney told Billboard, "Over the last several years, it seems like anytime anybody sings about a woman, she's in cut-off jeans, drinking, and on a tailgate. They objectify the hell out of them." Before a concert in Hershey, Pennsylvania, Jason Aldean bristled at the bro country label in an interview with Penn Live. He complained, "It bothers me because I don't feel like it's a compliment. To me, it's sort of a backhanded thing that comes from a very narrow-minded listener, and I don't know who came up with that ridiculous term. It's not all about trucks and girls and beer and whatever else they think it is."
And I'm not your bra.
Jason Aldean didn't get slapped with the bro country label by accident. In a piece about sexism and country lyrics, the outlet American Songwriter made a point of highlighting Aldean's 2012 number, "Take a Little Ride." Indeed, many of Aldean's hit songs feature lyrics that portray women as simple, doe-eyed girls waiting around on farms for men like Aldean to sweep them away in a pickup truck. And if they're not virginal maidens waiting to be wooed by Aldean, they're hell-raising vixens who live in the woods and act like they're in a Guns N' Roses video. All this has landed Aldean in hot water with media outlets that have grown tired of Aldean's exploitation of women. For example, here's how Saving Country Music described Aldean's album Old Boots, New Dirt. Now, what do we get from Jason Aldean? A simple enumeration of his sexual conquests one after another with very little respite. And that was just the first song. According to Saving Country Music, the second one went down the same path before things got even more provocative with Aldean's hit single Burnin' It Down. What's that song about? You guessed it, yet another romantic conquest. A quick glance through the writing credits for Jason Aldean's albums will show that the bulk of his musical output involves singing previously recorded songs from other artists, or lyrics written by other songwriters. Of course, this might explain how Aldean got slapped with the bro country label alongside his friend Luke Bryan. At one point, Aldean ended up in an altercation with Zac Brown after Brown criticized Bryan during an interview with a Vancouver radio station. Brown said, "You can look and see some of the same songwriters on every one of the songs. There's been like 10 #1 songs in the last 2 or 3 years that were written by the same people, and it's the exact same words, just arranged different ways." Aldean does pick up the pen every now and then, but with someone else writing much of his music, it's not always easy for him to defend the fact that he's supposed to be singing authentic tunes about growing up country. This goes doubly considering Aldean freely admits that his label works hard to manufacture hit singles by pulling off gimmicks like rapping in a country song. He also inadvertently revealed to Rolling Stone that he's now attempting to chase trends by recording more traditional songs, now that bro country appears to be on the way out. For a long time, it wasn't uncommon to see a Confederate flag or two at Jason Aldean's concerts. Either the flag itself was flying or you could find it on the merch. However, in the aftermath of the 2015 murders at Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church in Charleston, South Carolina, an array of country stars proved they were open to evolving their views on this dark and contentious symbol.
From the South Carolina State House in 2015.
Aldean, on the other hand, has outright refused to comment on the Confederate flag. That's probably not a huge shock, however, given that Aldean has been photographed sporting a Confederate flag t-shirt on several occasions over the years, even long after other country artists disavowed it. In 2015, Jason Aldean once again found himself in hot water when he used blackface to dress up as Lil Wayne for Halloween. In a move that didn't exactly help with the unfortunate stereotype that country music has a racism problem, Aldean offered an arguably tone-deaf apology that basically criticized anyone who was offended by his choices. He told Billboard, "In this day and age, people are so sensitive that no matter what you do, somebody is going to make a big deal out of it. I get that race is a touchy subject, but not everybody is that way. Media tends to make a big deal out of things. If that was disrespectful to anyone, I by all means apologize. That was never my intention. It never crossed my mind." One popular criticism of Jason Aldean and the rise of bro country in general is that he's responsible for the dumbing down of modern country, as Saving Country Music puts it.
And you're doing gigs at the VFW hall, playing until like 1 or 2 in the morning, then going to school?
Yeah, it's probably why my grades weren't so good.
This is something that he addressed during a 2016 interview with The Guardian. Aldean said, "I never want the songs to be too songwriterly or too clever. The song has to say what it means, and it means what it says. If you try to get too tricky with the lyrics, it gets confusing. If it's something I have to go back and listen to over and over again to figure what it says, it's too much work for me, and it's too much work for the listener." Perhaps it's no surprise then that Aldean has played into yet another unfortunate stereotype of country musicians. In his interview with People magazine, he said, "I haven't read a book since high school. I'm a magazine guy. When I'm standing in line at the grocery store, I'm kind of a sucker for buying whatever has a cover I'm interested in. I like reading about actual facts." In 2016, Jason Aldean told Rolling Stone that he preferred to keep his political views to himself. He said, "That's one subject I do stay away from. Politics is a no-win." That particular rule apparently went out the window when, a few years later, his wife, Brittany Aldean, posted a photo on Instagram in which one of their sons proudly posed while wearing a t-shirt emblazoned with the phrase, "Hidin' from Biden." Shortly after that, the singer took to Instagram to share his own opinion on the news that California Governor Gavin Newsom had mandated that children in the state must be vaccinated for COVID-19 in order to attend school. Aldean wrote, "So let me get this straight. It is no longer our decision as parents or free Americans to make decisions about our kids. Gavin Newsom makes those decisions for us now? You gotta be kidding me." He added that Californians should be outraged by Newsom's decision and demanded that people everywhere else start standing up immediately. Aldean insisted, "This is not how America and being free works." While Aldean's post was met with both support and opposition, an article appearing on the website Mike pointed out that Aldean's Nashville restaurant, Jason Aldean's Kitchen and Rooftop Bar, had recently held an event that required proof of COVID-19 vaccination for all attendees. Once Jason Aldean and his wife began openly sharing their political views, further controversy quickly ensued. At one point, Brittany posted a video on Instagram in which she was seen putting on makeup. The caption said, "I'd really like to thank my parents for not changing my gender when I went through my tomboy phase. I love this girly life." Her post was instantly criticized by country star Cassidy Pope, who voiced her surprise that a woman hawking her own beauty brand would want to deliberately alienate any potential transgender customers. Pope's tweet also elicited a scathing response from country singer Maren Morris, who tweeted, "It's so easy to not be a scumbag human. Sell your clip-ins and zip it, Insurrection Barbie."
I'm so sick of looking at absolute horse on the internet and people getting away with it, much less being celebrated for it.
In case you're wondering, Morris's nickname for Britney referenced Aldean's tendency to repeat false conspiracy theories about the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. All this led to some back-and-forth social media remarks between Pope, Morris, and Britney Aldean, who further clarified her opinions about the transgender community, which then led Morris to accuse her of being transphobic. When the dust settled, Jason Aldean's PR firm, The Green Room, severed its 17-year relationship with the singer. In a statement issued to Billboard, the firm's founder, Time Parrish, said, "We aren't the best people for the gig anymore, but we'll always be big fans of his music. He is one of the greatest live entertainers in country music." In May 2023, Jason Aldean released a new single, Try That in a Small Town. The song was immediately hit with backlash over accusations that its lyrics encouraged racism and violence. The song's music video, however, really stirred up controversy. It features cherry-picked footage of riotous behavior from 2020 Black Lives Matter rallies, while Aldean is pictured singing in the Maury County Courthouse in Columbia, Tennessee, the site of the 1927 lynching of Henry Choate, an 18-year-old black man falsely accused of assaulting a white woman. The backlash to the Try That in a Small Town video was so severe that CMT yanked it from rotation. Aldean fired back in a statement he shared on Twitter, defending himself against allegations that the song supports lynching. During a subsequent concert appearance, Aldean defended himself further, blaming so-called cancel culture for the scandal. He said, "In this day and age, cancel culture is a thing. That's something that if people don't like what you say, they try to make sure they can cancel you, which means try to ruin your life, ruin everything."